Protesters prepared to march in the Moroccan city of Al Hoceima on Thursday in defiance of a government ban, the latest in a series of demonstrations that have shaken the country's north. The North African country's Rift region, where residents have long complained of neglect and marginalisation, has seen repeated protests and outbreaks of unrest this year. The protest movement known as Al-Hirak al-Shababi has won strong support among the region's diaspora, and many former Rif residents living abroad had returned to the city to join the march. Authorities have promised to do more to help the region and relaunched a 2015 program to improve its infrastructure, health facilities and education services by 2019. Deaths linked to AIDS have halved in a decade, this according to newly released official figures. The condition, which is caused by HIV, used to be one of the top 10 causes of death worldwide. A report by the joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, known as UNAIDS, showed deaths had fallen from a peak of 1.9 million in 2005 to 1 million last year. Worldwide, 36.7 million people are living with HIV, and 53% of them are getting the therapy that gives a near-normal life expectancy. The agency said Eastern and Southern Africa had cut new HIV infections by nearly a third since 2010, with life expectancy increasing by 10 years over the past decade as well.
I tell you that this is the first time that we have more than half, a drop of more than half in mortality. This is extraordinary, a reduction of practically 50% of deaths due to AIDS. Again, it shows that the resources we received are having an impact. It's not only a question of coverage, of an increase of the number of people in treatment, but the impact is there. For 10 years I've been fighting. It's been nearly 8 or 9 years that I've been at the head of the UNAIDS. We've had success everywhere except in Eastern Europe and in Central Asia. It makes me sad to observe that on the border with Western Europe you still have, over the last 6 years, an increase in new infections of more than 60%. A study from Malawi shows us very clearly that when you give just $10, and I'm saying just $10, to the poorest families, to the poorest girls, these $10 per month can lead to a reduction of infections in these young women of more than 35%. But also, it's not just a decrease in infections in young women, but more importantly, it is the fact that these young women stay in school.
We must continue to hammer home the idea that it is possible to see the end of the AIDS epidemic by 2020 if the political will and the financial means are there and are reinforced.
The first double hand transplant on a child has been declared a success. In 2015, Zion Harvey, now 10 years old, was the first child to have bilateral hand transplantation surgery. 18 months on, Zion can now use his new hands to perform everyday tasks. His medical team of 29 doctors and researchers this week released a new co-authored paper describing his history-making surgery and recovery. The information detailing his journey has been published in the Lancet Child and Adolescent Health Journal. Physicians believe the information will be vital in outlining how such surgeries can be successfully performed in other children. Syrian Democratic Forces fighters have been battling Islamic State group jihadists for control of the Raqqa region, the de facto capital of the ISIS Syrian territory, since 2014. After long stretches away from home, they've grown nostalgic for it and have taken to cooking as a means to feel closer to home. Let's take a look in our next report.
Close to the Raqqa front line, Iskandar is preparing chicken and garlic for a traditional stew. He and his comrades from the Syrian Democratic Forces, an alliance of Kurdish and Arab fighters, are advancing to recapture the northern city from the Islamic State group. And after months on the road, they were getting nostalgic for a home-cooked meal.
I'm on break at the moment, but I came here yesterday morning to prepare some molokhia because, to be honest, we're tired of the meals that are being sent to us. So I decided to prepare this meal, one that we can all enjoy.
Islamic State group jihadists overran Raqqa in 2014, turning it into the de facto Syrian capital of their so-called caliphate. The US-backed SDF spent months encircling the city and broke into it in early June. 5,000 lunches and 5,000 dinners are delivered every day to hungry fighters. And as clashes rage, they've learned to get organized, living, eating and sleeping on the front lines.
We have to learn how to cook and how to clean our clothes. My mother isn't here to take care of me. This isn't my home. There's no one to do these things for me. So we're doing everything ourselves.
Just outside of Raqqa, the SDF are also churning out another key commodity, ice. With temperatures soaring above 45 degrees Celsius across northern Syria, fighters are struggling to stay cool and hydrated. The blocks are transported to fighters closer to the front, who say they're indispensable.
There's no electricity during the operation in Raqqa, and our fighters get tired. There's no electricity and they want something cold. We're sending them blocks of ice and ice cream. We have to do this for them.
The SDF have recaptured around 30% of Raqqa. As they push forward in the scorching summer heat, facing fierce resistance, the fighters are seizing every opportunity they can to wind down and relax.
Aboriginal people have been in Australia for longer than previously thought, said archaeologists, based on a newly discovered set of artefacts dating back to 65,000 years, more than 10,000 years earlier than previously thought. The first humans were believed to have emerged 200,000 years ago. Archaeologists believe the first human settlements in Australia dated back to 47,000 years, but now they want to revise that period to 65,000 years in view of the recent discovery. The new dating of the Australian settlement confirms some of the shifting theories about the period when the first humans left Africa, moved to Asia about 80,000 years ago and reached Australia some 15,000 years later.
So these are all the stone, this is a picture of the back wall with all the stone tools shown on there, and you can see these layers, 3 layers. And that basically means probably people camped here and made stone tools in really large numbers, probably camped for like 1,000 years here, coming back again and again. And over that time, all those stone tools build up in the soil. And over time, the layers go up. So the ground would have been right down the bottom here. And then over 60,000 years, the soil blows in, it gets washed in, people bring it in, and it goes up to the top. And we can find, each time people camped here for a long period of time, it leaves all those stone tools there. Can you actually point it out?
Some athletics now, and Usain Bolt has confirmed that he will run the 100 metres and the 100-metre relay at the World Championships in London in August, his final event before retiring. But before then, he'll complete the 100 metres at the Diamond League event in Monaco on Friday. Here's what he had to say ahead of his race.
Well, I'm feeling good, you know what I mean? Season started off slow. For me, I had a setback after my friend Jermaine passed away. It kind of set me back a little bit, so I had some work to do, so I've been a little behind schedule, but I'm training well. I'm feeling much better over the past couple of days because I went to see my doctor in Germany. I've been training good, so that's a good sign, and the weather is great here, so hopefully on Friday will be the same and I can perform at my best. For me, this race is mostly about execution, working on my flaws that my coach has been trying to get me to get over in training. As I said, I've been to the doctor, so we have worked on my back, which is always the main issue. But there's all the little things that we've worked on throughout the time I've seen him. So I should be fine. It's just all about execution now, going out there. I try not to worry too much about time, but as you said, it'd be good to dip on the 10 seconds. My main aim is just to win. You know what I mean? I just want to retire on a winning note. That is my main goal, and that's always been the goal throughout my career, just to continue dominating and continue winning.
Eritrean cyclist Daniel Tekle is back on his bike in Ethiopia, where he is the top performer on the team of Eritrean refugees who have posted impressive results at tournaments. But the team is struggling to find money and permission to compete. Eritrea's cycling tradition has produced talents like Tour de France riders Daniel Tekle Emanot and Natnal Berhane. But hundreds of thousands of other Eritreans have chosen to abandon their country for life of refugees because of what they say the country's repressive policies stand for. The 10 men of the Eritrean refugee cycling team are among a lucky few that are able to pursue their passion even from exile.
I decided to leave Eritrea and don't want to go back because I have a dream to pursue and I want to race on the international and professional tournaments. I hope one day I will accomplish my dream, but until that I have no plan to go back.
My refugee status makes me angry because as a refugee I can't race internationally. But nowadays we are working with the UNHCR. They are giving us hope and promise to help us race on international tournaments. We are working hard to achieve our dream.
I support them. The first time I gave them tubes, tires, if you see the clothes. And I mean, I gave a lot of things to them to make survive the team. So now these days, it's not easy to do it by myself.
The Eritrean team started to perform very good, which motivated other Addis Ababa teams. Now the Addis Ababa teams are becoming better competitors than before.
Well, that's all from the Evening News team, and I tonight will be back at the same time tomorrow. Bye for now.